Hello my crafty friends, Corrine here from Corrine Crafts. I hope you are well. Look at this. Now the purpose of this, it's a thrifty card. Even if it's not going to be on my Thrifty Thursday series, I wanted to show you how thrifty you can make cards. I wanted to show you how to add in a second colour to your wax melts, because I think that is a really fun technique. But I also wanted to talk about making projects when the sentiment on them isn't standard, isn't just your typical off the shelf sentiment. So if you need something a little bit different, the best way to do it is to make it yourself. So I'm going to show you now how I made this card. So one of the things I wanted to do with this card, and I'll come back to some other reasons in a minute, is to create a completely two-tone or a two-colour wax seal. So I'm going to show you how I did this. I've seen this in lots of places, on Pinterest, on YouTube. Lots of people are doing it, and I thought, I know, I'm gonna have a go at doing this. So I have got my So Stream Green wax melter on. You can see the little flame under there, and I've got 3 little wax melts in white. 2 are in a solid white and one's in a more opaque white. So while that's just melting, I'm going to show you what else I've done. And I've got a piece of card, regular multi-purpose card, 4.5 inches by 6.5 inches, and that's going to go onto a card base. As you know, I go about an inch bigger, 5.5 inches by 7.5 inches. So as you can see, we've got a 1 inch gap around there, and that's going to go cover all that writing up. Okay, so I just need to wait for these to melt. So I'm going to just jump around a little bit and get this to melt. So I'll be right back. So this is now oh yes, that's melted absolutely perfectly. Just give it a quick stir with a pokey tool, matchstick, whatever you want. And really want it to be nice and melted. And so as you can see, I've got my mold on the side, but for this bit I don't need a mold. I'm just using it because it's silicone. So all I'm going to do, it doesn't matter which one because it's not going to be big enough. As you saw, there was only 3. I think on my test one I did it with 2, and I felt it needed a little bit more wax. So I put 3 in, but 2 will probably get away. And I'm going to pour it into one of the seals, any one. Like I say, at this point, it's not about getting, we're not going to make a shape. We just need a bit on there. So let's put that on. While that's going, I'm then going to start my blue. So just so you know, I've got 4 blue and 2 white. So I've got my wax seal, and I'm just going to pop that into there. And that's just going to seal down. Like I say, all I need is enough to hold it. So there, that's going. So this one now is going to melt down. It will take a little bit longer just because there are so many wax cubes. So again, we'll come back and I'll get this one nice and clean while I'm waiting. Okay, they're nearly melted, not quite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this. It's just been sat there for a while. Oh, look at that. And it's created this gorgeous little wax seal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my scissors. It's nice and dry now. And I'm just going to undercut all the way around the raised element. So this could be a flower. I've got a heart here. It could be a flower. It could be any shape. It could be a crown. It could be whatever you want. You can still see that, I hope. And so, but it's good to have little pointy scissors under there. I might have to come back in that bit in a minute. Try not to get your hands too much on it, because obviously the heat from your hands will soften the wax. So I'm just trying to hold it as loosely as I can. But I'm just trying to undercut nicely on there. Now this heart comes down there, so I just need to, I don't want to cut that bit off. I want that bit to show. Now the great thing is, this wax that I'm cutting off will just melt down again a second time and be used for another project. So nothing is wasted. Don't think it's wasted. You could just put it back into the jar if you've got room, and it'll work like that. So let me just make sure. So I'm just undercutting. Oh, there was a bit here, wasn't there? The neater you can get it, the better the finished result. Now that's going beautifully. Now the reason I added white is because my colour for my project is a lovely blue. Let me see if I can find it. So this, you can see, is my blue. Now that's a little bit darker, so by putting the white in, I was hoping it was going to get closer to that colour. So is this done? I think it is. So once I've done that, all I then do is I turn it back over and I just pop it back into the wax seal and just give it a little bit of a press. Just use your hand to press it back into the mould. So like I say, keep that bit. Now this is nicely melted. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to marble it through. I'm not going to mix too much. I'm just going to marble that is really melted. Perfect. So I'm going to bring in my wax seal. I'm going to use this one and I'm just going to pour that into there. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad I used the 6. 5 would have probably got away with it, but it's going to give me a really good wax seal. The only thing is I'm going to have to leave it a little bit longer to set. So I've got the wax on there. I'm going to take let me move this out of the way. Take my wax seal with the white put back on, and I'm just going to pop it into the middle, and I'm just going to push everything into the corners. There we are. Just tap that in. There we go. It's going into those corners. Right, I'm going to leave that for a good few minutes. Just pop that there. Just leave that and I'll come right back to that in a few minutes. Right then, so hopefully, oh yes, that's set. I can feel that set nicely. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to peel that out of the mould. You know I love the mould. If you don't have a silicone mould, you can just pour your wax onto a non-stick surface and it works brilliantly. So I've got my mould, I've got it on my seal, so I'm going to peel these off, and there we go. I haven't had to stick that in. It's melted into that seal. I love the marble effect. I'm going to bring that up. Isn't that amazing? Now you could even highlight that with some gold or what have you. Now I've got 2. I do love these. Actually, I prefer this new one because it's much better, because I'd actually put the foam pads on the back of there. So I'm going to, yes, do that. Now, I do need to set my heat gun going, but I need to be careful because the heat gun is going to melt the wax. So I need to be careful how I do this. So I'll show you that. So I'm going to put that to one side so it can finish curing, but it's nice and firm already, and that will get going for us. Oops, I've got cables everywhere. Right, let's put that to one side. So as I showed you already, my card base is 5.5 inches by 7.5 inches, and my top card is 4.5 by 6.5 inches, both just regular white cardstock. Now, as you've already seen, I've got this gorgeous teal colour. I have cut out a piece from there because I've made a sentiment. Happy Father's Day. Now, the reason I'm making this card, I'm sort of jumping ahead, I didn't go back, is everybody's family looks different, and my family looks different to your family, and your family looks different to the next person's family. And this is one of the reasons why I love making cards myself, because this means that I can make them really, really personalised. So I need a card to send to somebody, and I don't want it to say Dad on it. So the great thing is about making the cards myself is I can get the exact sentiment that I want. And if I can't find a stamp, before now, many a time I have used my computer to print out a sentiment and done it that way. It works really, really well. So this is my top tip for you today, is if you need a card that is, you know, a little bit different sentiment, doesn't fit with the normal mum, dad, brother, sister, husband, you know, that sort of thing, then make them yourself and you can get them really, really personalised. Okay, so now you can see my colour palette. This is just, the happy is from Julie Hickey. I love this because it said happy birthday, Easter, be happy, anniversary, wedding day, Valentine's Day. So I've used the happy, and then the Father's Day. I don't know what this one's from. It was in my stamp, but it's got Father's Day, Mother's Day on. It's got lots on. So I've taken the Father's Day from there and the happy from there. And this is a great thing. When you make your own cards, you can do that. So that are the first 2 bits. Now I just need to get something heavy to go on there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put that on like that. Well, that's a good weight. I've got a hot punch and I'm going to put a punch on there. I'm going to put that onto there. So I've got everything together. Let's put it off the side. But it's all together, and that's going to weight it down for me. So I'm going to bring this back in. So what I've done is I've got some scraps of paper, and I've cut, what have I cut? 3/4 inch and 1/2 inch strips. I couldn't remember what they were. So I've done some out of 3/4 and some out of 1/2 inch. Now I'm making this quite male orientated. That's entirely up to you. You can do it however you want, but this would work for a female card. So instead of doing the wax seal, you could maybe put flowers or whatever embellishment. So I'm going to get one of the strips. So I'm going to go, I think I'll go with this patterned one first. Now everyone is going to be different. So I'm going to get my tacky glue and I'm going to put some tacky, I'm going to get my mat because otherwise I could end up with glue on the work surface. Are we still in the middle? We are. Right, so I'm going to get some glue and put it on the back. So the first one's almost like the hardest of knowing where the glue needs to go. So we can put that onto here. And then I'm going to go off the corner and I'm going to come down. I don't want them sort of diagonal. I want it sort of off centre. So I can put that on like that. The next one I'm going to do is, what am I going to do next? Let's just go. Let's have a look. Now, it's nice to alternate thinner ones and thicker ones and do however you want. I don't want those two together. They don't look right together, do they? So I can go with that one. Then I can go with, let's go with that one. And if I want a fifth one, I'll go with that one. Okay, so these ones will just last for another project if I need to. So let's just move those to one side. So it's much, much easier once you've done one, because all I need to do now is just put a little bit of glue all the way down there. And then I can slide this. Now I'm going to just basically just push it as close to the edge. What you could do, if you wanted to, is you could have a gap between them. And to do that, I would cut myself a very thin piece of white card and then use the same, so I've got the same size between each one. But I want them, for this purpose, I want them butted up to each other. A little bit of glue. Tacky glue, you don't need much. To there. And then I'm butting that up. So this was from an 8-inch paper pad and they are working really, really well, aren't they? Really, the sizing is perfect. And again, across here. Don't worry for this one if it's a bit wide, because we've got another one to go on. Putting that one on. And again, making sure you push up nice and tight. There we go. And then the last one, I'm actually going to put the glue onto here. I want about that much. So let's just go onto there. Just making sure I've got glue right to the edges because it's the final one. And then popping that on here. Now you could go really bold colour. You could do this however you wanted to. There is so much scope for making this personal. There really is. So once we've got that on there, we're going to press that down. Like, this is why I said about doing it on a surface, because I've got glue on the mat. So what I want now is I want a large pair of scissors. Ideally, it would be good to leave this to dry, but I haven't got time. Well, I could, but I've already paused this video once. And then I just use my scissors to run up against the edge. It'll always be straight. As I've often said before, if you'd rather cut your cardstock a bit bigger and then trim it down, you definitely would have to wait for it to dry to do that. And then we can just keep running it down there, just like that. And then put this one up like that. There we go. That's going to go like, there we go. Let's get all those little gluey bits out of the way. And then we've got this. Doesn't that look lovely? So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to just make sure they're burnished down. And again, what you could do is put something heavy over the top. Doesn't that look lovely? I love that. Now I've actually got one that I've done. Same pieces, look, but in a different combination. And all I've done is mounted it onto a piece of black. And that is where the black circle came from. So I've not wasted anything here. And I've got that. That feels lovely and firm. So let's just tidy up a little bit here. I can bring this in that was being weighted. Oh, yeah, everything is pushed down much more securely now. That only took a minute. Tacky glue dries lovely and quickly, doesn't it? So this is such a quick card, but I think it's going to be really, really effective. So we can put this one onto here. As always, because the border is really fine, I'm going to come in with my PVA. Again, this is my Sticks to foam tape. You know I love that. It's 1.6 mil, so it's just such a lovely height. It just adds that little bit of dimension, and it's nice and firm. Nice and firm, so it does. You could go that way. I like it that way, definitely. So I can then just give that a wiggle around. It's knowing all the top tips, isn't it? How to make sure your borders are good. I always used to do my mats and layers with finger lift tape. I just find it so much easier with glue. And so long as you don't use too much glue, nothing sort of cockles and ripples up. There we go. How about that? We are nearly there. Now, you know me, I often don't know which way my cards are going to go. So this is one of those case in points. So what I've got is, I've got my sentiment, and I'm going to put my sentiment here. I'm going to put my wax seal just here. I like this one best. And I've cut this. Now, I don't know whether I want this. Does that work? Or does that look better? I quite like the tail, I think. I quite like having a little, because it brings that colour across. Yes, I'm going to go for that. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue under there. Again, I'm not going to glue it down too tight because you know me, I like the ends to be free. And then we're going to take the backs of here. Now I know Sticks 2 had a deal on Corrine Craft branded foam pads a while back. I guess that's because they had them manufactured, and obviously Corrine Craft don't exist anymore. So they did have a few left over that they were doing on a really good price. So go and have a look on the Sticks 2 website. It might be gone by now, but you might find some different bargains. So let's put that in on there. Isn't that lovely? Can you see how it's going to work with so many different styles? Okay, now I need to do this. So let me get some of my foam pads again, because I've done it on my other one. I've got the cheapest, thinnest foam pads that I could find. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one up at the top here. And that's going to go on there. Now I need to put two height down at the bottom. So I'm going to put one just there. I'm going to take... And the reason I'm doing this, rather than going in totally with hot glue, as I said, hot glue can cause your wax to melt a little bit. I don't like that wet positioning. I'm going to put it right next to that. There we go. So what I need to do is what I'm using is the foam pads are there purely to protect the wax. Trying not to hold it too much. See if I can find some tweezers. Tweezers would definitely be better because then I'm not going to get my hot hands on it. Okay, so my hot glue gun should be nicely warmed up by now. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue on there because it's higher, but I'm going to put quite a bit of hot glue on this end. The other one you could do would be your 3D glue. That would work quite well. And then I'm just going to pop that on to there. I can see, oh no, made a seal under there. So I don't know if you can see, it's completely made a barrier. So that is like that, and it's going to be nice and firm. So the last thing I want to do is I want to grab a scrappy bit of paper, and I've got some Nouveau drops. Just trying to get them warmed up a little bit. Let's see if these are going to work, because yesterday they didn't want to work. These are so old. So I'm just going to pop a couple of Nouveau drops. Just 1, 2, 3. And then I could just do a couple. The thing is, if you're doing Nouveau drops, you don't have a chance to change your mind, especially if you're doing black. Once they're on, they're on. I think I need something on this side to balance it. No, that's too close to that one. Where do I want it? Do I even need any more? No, I'm not. I'm going to leave it. I don't know if I've got that in the right place, but it's going to have to be. Could I get some? That's going to make it too busy there, isn't it? No, I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to leave it just like that, I think. You can tell I'm indecisive. No, that's going to be it. And there you go. That is the Father's Day card that I needed that didn't say Dad, hubby or anything like that on, because that wasn't appropriate for what I needed. So how about that? I hope you like that. I love it. It's got texture. It's got dimension. It's not too big. I've got to post this overseas from the UK. So I know it's going to get there in one piece. I'm not worried about it breaking and, you know, falling apart in transit. I'm just making sure that's at the right height. There you go. How about that? I hope that's given you a little bit of inspiration should you need it, even if it's not for Father's Day. Oh, just unplug my hot glue gun. Even if it's not for Father's Day, even if it's for another occasion when you're thinking, yeah, I need a really simple, really quick card, then something like this would work. It's really thrifty. A little bit of wax. I've got 5 strips of card, and that bit is just a little bit left over, and then I've used all the mats and layers to cut these out too. So I hope you like that, and hope it inspires you to have a go. So until next time, my crafty friends, thank you for watching. Thank you for interacting with the channel. I will obviously leave a link on the left to another video, and I'll leave a link on the right to my subscribe button. But until then, please don't forget to click on the links down below, or including the Buy Me a Coffee page. So thank you to everybody that has contributed to that. I really do appreciate it. And I'll be back very soon with another project. And until then, bye for now.